Happy belated Thanksgiving. Let me tell you a story about being blessed. The pandemic hit hard. Some lost their jobs, others lost their lives. Not everyone let the situation get them down, though, especially not our protagonist. He suffered from a lack of employment throughout the entire thing. Well, suffer is a bad word. The government covered his entire rent throughout the pandemic, extending it forward until October of 2022. On promise he would find work, paperwork was delayed. They had a happy Thanksgiving and stayed throughout the new year. It's January 2023 now. The fun thing to do is complain how no one wants to work anymore. Not our protagonist. His side hustle's been going well, and it was getting him noticed. Specifically, I noticed a little before Christmas that he was selling hard drugs in the parking lot in the middle of the day. The previously postponed paperwork was resumed and submitted. Hoping to expedite the process, I went ahead and tipped local law enforcement. Easy slam dunk, I thought to myself as I clicked submit on the tip form. I'd left my full name, email address, and phone number, but was never contacted regarding my complaint. Near the end of the month, I discover some parking lot visitor has hit my car. In February, I witnessed a transaction taking place later in the evening. In March, it happens while I'm filling the coffee pot with water around 7 a.m. April brings conclusion to the judicial process, and they're officially squatters now. Unfortunately, the lawyer fails at both life and his job. The final document that needs to be submitted is never filed, and he stops returning phone calls. May brings plenty of noticeable transactions, and despite not being contacted by the police, I still believe them to be investigating my tip. Fast forward to June. The weather's nice, and I've been spending more time out on the patio. The patio, which has a great view of the driveway by the way, is set back a good distance. After watching a few randos hit up the drive-thru, I decided to submit another tip, but wanted a little more evidence moving forward. I do some research, then buy a security camera, a PoE switch, and set up Shinobi on an old laptop to record the feed. The system was operational shortly after the 4th of July. Reviewing the film shows our protagonist has turned his side hustle into a 24/7 business. The fourth time I submitted a tip, it included a link to a video of the event. 5 hours later, I captured a second video and shared it as well. This did result in being contacted, and I laid out the entire situation with a detective. Near the end of July, I turned the system off, content that the matter had been escalated. It's been almost 5 months since the first video was submitted, and Thanksgiving draws near again. Excited for the day, the second floor wakes early and begins their routine over an hour before dawn. Oh boy! Happy Thanksgiving! That is the sound of a wildly unbalanced load spinning in a washing machine. Sometimes this happens during the workday, or midnight, or 5 a.m. on Thanksgiving. This hunch that he needed clean clothes for a deal, and since I was wide awake, I got the camera system back online. That afternoon, shortly after I left for dinner, the drive-thru had its first customer. But that wasn't going to be the only transaction today. As I'm arriving home from dinner, I notice there's a vehicle in our parking lot, backed in with the lights on. So I pull into my usual spot, right next to it, and I can see the window in the vehicle's down. I shut my car off, gather my things, and get out. In doing so, I look into the SUV parked next to me. There's this dude, all hunched down, presumably trying to hide, looking up at me with this squished, pug-like face. I say sup and head towards the house, but as I turn, I notice our protagonist at the far side vehicle window. You couldn't ask for more hilariously perfect timings than this. What is the moral of today's story? Selling illegal drugs is a completely viable way for your average squatter to provide for a family of 5 long term.